Chapter 191. Part 6 of 6. It was another Celestia and Luna memory. They were at breakfast this time and Celestia looked irate. "What do you mean, you gave him the items?" she demanded. "It's very self-explanatory, sister," Luna smugly replied. "I returned the magical items to my knight. I believe they will increase his potency. You and I both know they're cursed. He found them in the same place we found the elements of harmony. And the same place I found that mirror," Luna sighed. "Trust me, sister, I know full well." "Then why would you do this?" "Several reasons. For one, this is a test." "A test? You're putting Nav's life at risk for a test. I recall you telling me that Egypt was a test. So what exactly are you testing, then?" "For some reason," Luna grinned. "His intelligence. He knows the items are cursed. Let's see how often he uses them despite that. If he's dumb enough to use them so much that he gets cursed, then he deserves it. And if he's smart enough to use them in such a way that he avoids curses, he deserves to have the relics. So you give him a ring that completely and utterly blocks magic." "Indeed. I'd be quite interested in seeing what the curse for that would be. What if he goes rogue? Then I'll kill him with a sword." "Simple." Celestia actually stared at her sister for a few long seconds before clearing her throat. "How, exactly, will you do that?" "Magic, obviously. The ring blocks magic." "Correct. It doesn't block swords. And if the sword is controlled by magic, then I throw it. Now that I think about it, a spear would be better. So I'll use a spear. If I throw it at him using magic, it'll impact him with all the momentum the magic gave it without actually being thrust into him with magic. That actually makes me feel much better. That is a point I hadn't considered. Although now that I really think about it, I might use a club instead. Then I'll take the ring off and finally make him mine." "No, you'll make him ours." "So what will you do if he goes rogue outside of your immediate vicinity?" "Hunt him down like an animal. Navarone is extremely noticeable. There aren't too many bipeds out there. If we seal the ports and shut down the rail lines, he would be relatively easy to find. If you're extremely lucky." "And what of the key?" "He could use it to access all manner of interesting things, while leaving a trail of evidence so wide there would be no doubt who was at fault. Things opened by the key cannot be locked again. If he uses it to steal anything, determining guilt will be easy. And I see no downsides in allowing him to become female. If the friendship report's rarity sense are accurate, those stones will finally allow our dear sweet Navi to feel peace." "Are you talking about the mare who enjoys dressing little colts up as fillies?" Celestia shrugged. "I honestly don't remember. It's hard for me to pretend to care." "Keep an eye on your knight, Luna. You've given him several powerful tools. We'll have to make sure he behaves." "Don't you worry, dearest sister. I'm keeping a very close eye on my human. You know, I think it might be time to bring him to live here in Canterlot instead of that musty old library with that student of yours." "I don't think my student would appreciate that. She quite enjoys her human friend. He does wonders to keep her calm." "It's hard to notice. That's because you barely knew her before Nav started assisting with her heat." Luna's ears twitched. "Believe me, he's doing wonders for that poor mare. Yes, I most definitely believe it's time to move my knight here. He needs to start working more with my troops. And more with your innards, I imagine. If Nav lived closer, your head would constantly either be in the stars or between his legs. Twilight will continue taking care of him for now. He is my knight, not yours." "And what do you think Nav wants?" Celestia asked. "He seems happy in Ponyville and he definitely seems to hate Canterlot. More to the point, I imagine he's still afraid of you and upset you enslaved him. Good thing what he wants doesn't matter. I am his princess. My word is law." I'll move him straight to my bedchambers if he attempts to fight me. Oh, yes. Please, tell me how that worked out for you last time. I did a good thing for mares everywhere. Celestia face-hooved. Luna, being the cause of restraining orders isn't something to brag about. That poor stallion was traumatized. And Nav is tougher. The big mare looked back up. I'm starting to have my doubts. I do believe Nav is mentally stronger than the average pony, but he is absolutely not what we thought he was when we first decided to use him. If I had known at the time what his strengths were, I never would have sent him to Egypt. He is not a warrior, he is a strategist. And as a strategist, the less traumatized he is, the more useful he will be. So he is absolutely not moving to your bedchambers. He'll be staying right there in Ponyville until his manners improve and he heals some of the mental damage incurred so far in our service. I don't want you causing any more damage to him. I see absolutely no way living in my bedchambers could have anything but positive effects on my handsome toy. He'd get plenty of exercise, all the food he could ever want, and if he really behaved, I might let him out of his cage to go for walks. You know what, I think I'm full, Celestia said, pushing her plate away. And we're done talking about this. Nav is staying right where he is, end of story. Or end of memory, as it so happened. Welp, that was fucked up, I said. But I honestly expected nothing less. How's it feel to have two princesses fighting over your cock? Pride asked. Scary, actually. If it was two human princesses, it might not be as bad. But these princesses have a fuck ton of magic and aren't afraid to use it to get their way. Did you ever consider that maybe sleeping with both of them at the same time wasn't wise? Pride asked. I can't believe you're asking me that. Shouldn't you be encouraging me to fuck bitches? Not when it might lead to death. There's doing something worthy of pride and then there's doing something dumb. Well, to answer your question, yes. And to answer your follow-up question of why I chose to do it anyway, fear. My fear of the possible consequences of sleeping with both of them was trumped by my fear of turning either of them down. I'd say that fear was well warranted, given the ease with which Celestia justified raping me in the last memory and how often Luna talks about doing horrible things to me. That makes sense. And did you feel so pressured into dicking down Chrysalis? Or Princess Gilda? The first time I fucked Chrysalis was part morbid curiosity, part resignation, and part lust spell. The first time I fucked Gilda was solely for my pride. I wanted to deflower a princess and she was all too willing to let me. I do feel bad about breaking my promise to her father, though. Still, I don't think he would begrudge me the results. She's considerably less bitchy now. I wonder, was that your decision? Pride asked. Aqua told you she made two choices for you. She didn't make the choice to sleep with Gilda, but that doesn't mean she didn't influence you. Putting another ruler under her thumb would be quite nice. Well, I guess we can look at it when we get there. And if we don't end up seeing it, I'll just force her to tell me. For now, I think I got what I needed from here, though it's a lesson I already learned. Then let's move on, my guide said. The next memory didn't pull any punches, it put me directly in front of a wall of flames. After I had a second to catch my bearings, I realized exactly we were at the Diamond Dog Mine near Ponyville. This was during the fiery genocide. Well, can't say I'm surprised to end up here, I said. I wanted to do things peacefully, but that wasn't an option fate presented me. Not all dark choices can be circumvented, Reason said from behind me. And they should never be celebrated, Pain said. Chrysalis enjoyed herself. You did not. You found yourself feeling angry at the dogs, Rage said. Wow, been a while since he showed his face. Why did they force you to make this choice? Why did they refuse peace? That seemed to be all of them, so I turned around. Are we gonna get answers to any of those questions? I asked. You already know the answer, Reason said. Stubbornness and violence were in their nature. Such was their lot as half-fae. Not to mention their lot as criminals, Rage said. Why you feel any guilt over them is beyond me. So they were nice to you. They enslaved ponies and changelings without even a qualm, and they wanted you to bring them a D-tongued rarity. Let's be honest, we've all wanted to D-tongue rarity at some point or another, I said. I can't fault them for that. Most wouldn't offer 3 bags of gems for it, Reason said. I dunno, you might be surprised. Yes, they were dick bags. I can't deny that. No, I probably shouldn't feel guilt for killing them all. And yet that troublesome conscience of yours bothers you, even now, Pain said. What is it this time, I turned back to look at the flames coming down from the skies. The look of pure joy on Chrysalis's face unnerved me. This tactic is efficient. It's incredibly effective. It worked like a complete charm and we didn't lose a single person. Truly an ideal tactic, then, Reason said. It's completely dishonorable, Rage said. For the longest time, I never thought that should bother me, I said. For the longest time, honor seemed like weakness. Yet now that I find myself actually liking fighting, it feels. I dunno. I'd rather fight them man to dog than burn them to death like this. It feels more honest. What use is honesty in battle? Reason asked. The only way to win is to deceive and confuse your opponent. Strike with overwhelming force in order to win with as few casualties as possible. Intellectually, I completely understand that, I said. This genocide was a complete tactical victory. We freed all the prisoners, captured a few of their peeps, and utterly slaughtered almost all the rest with no casualties. There is no joy in genocide, Rage said. There is only time and numbers. All you had to do was sit back and wait. Sit back and wait as an entire community was destroyed, I said. An illegal community of criminals and scumbags. So I will say this, they had it coming. I don't regret killing them. I just regret how we killed them. This is no way to die. There is only one way to die, Reason said. And that is to cease living. And I would say they have almost definitely ceased living. Why would you choose to give in to honor now? You've built quite the career on doing what's smart, not what's honorable. I've built a career on doing what's expedient, not necessarily what's smart. I see a problem, think of a quick and easy solution, and then try to use that solution to brute force my way through. Usually it works. In this particular case, I'd say it was effective. But it left a stain on my soul. It was the same with the love poison idea. And with the Naga. Could there have been better solutions if I had taken time to think things through? Maybe I could have bargained with the invading Naga. Maybe I could have found a way to abuse Cadance's magic to feed the changelings. And maybe I could have intimidated the dogs into leaving by warning them exactly what would happen, when, and that there was nothing they could do to stop it. They might have tried fighting it out, but they might have seen the futility and given it up. A dead criminal is a lot better than an angry criminal, Reason said. Let's say you convinced them to leave. What would stop them from attacking Ponyville? Sure, you and Twilight would be able to stop them, but not before they did a lot of damage. Why waste honor on the honorless? Pain asked. These criminals got what they deserved. That doesn't mean there won't be situations in the future where you can avoid wholesale slaughter. Some people have it coming. Some don't. You'll need to take the time to decide which is which. Something must be wrong, because you're making sense and not sounding completely batshit, I said. Experience and wisdom come from pain, for those with the capability of learning from that pain, my guide said. You have been through much. This coma is your attempt to compress it all and distill it into something worthwhile. Honor for those who deserve it, death for those who don't. I guess I'll need to work on defining what deserving it means. Are you ready for the memory? Pain asked. Please tell me it's not the dogs getting killed. It's not, Reason said. Pain reached in and placed her paw against my neck. This time, we were in the throne room. Celestia, Luna, 2 guards, and Celestia's assistant were all there. Luna looked confused and Celestia looked pleased with herself. I'm sorry, what now? Luna slowly said. Surely you heard me, sister, Celestia said. Chrysalis has borne children for your knight. Isn't that exciting? Nav's a daddy. One of Luna's eyes twitched. After a few seconds, her horn lit up bright red and she grabbed a vase to throw at Celestia. That harlot queen! The vase deflected off a magical shield and shattered against a wall. Celestia's assistant sighed and wrote something in her notebook. Why, whatever is the matter? Celestia asked. The next vase Luna grabbed was full of flowers. It soared straight at Celestia. I'll bucking kill that wretch. That vase also shattered, making the assistant groan and make a few more marks. Celestia floated the flowers from the destroyed vase over to Luna. Maybe a snack would calm you down. You aren't yourself when you're hungry, Luna. There weren't any more vases, so Luna grabbed both the pedestals the vases had been sitting on and threw them next. And when I'm done with the queen, I'll hunt down those orphans and send them to meet mommy. That one actually made the guards look at each other, sharing a very concerned glance. It wasn't warranted, because the pedestals also shattered against the shield. The assistant just threw her notebook down in disgust. You know, I think some pony might be jealous. Celestia said with a giggle. Luna's rage instantly disappeared. I think I'll pay Navarone a visit tonight. We're due for quite a long talk. Oh? About what, sister? About loyalty. About trust. About how he will behave moving forward. And about how he can begin properly, serving his princess. I'm afraid I have some bad news. You see, I have a task for you tonight. I will be otherwise engaged. Your big sister dearly needs your assistance, Luna. You don't want to let me down, do you? Luna definitely didn't look pleased. What do you demand of me? She growled. We have an important visitor coming by. I would like you to entertain her tonight. Perhaps show her around Canterlot. Really make her feel welcome. I just know you two will be a good fit for each other. Very well, then. What is the name of this mare? Queen Chrysalis. Celestia replied with a shit-eating grin. Luna shrieked and ripped out chunks of brick to fling them at Celestia. The guards and the assistant finally jumped behind the throne and that's when the memory ended. Alright, that was a complete bitch move, but it was also fucking 10 out of 10 trolling, I said. Celestia would have loved the internet. She could have gotten rid of so much stress. Celestia on Twitter, my guide said. Truly horrifying. She'd threatened to build a wall around the moon and make Luna pay for it. So, is my takeaway from this one that I could never trust Celestia? I ask. Because I'm pretty sure I told her this in confidence after specifically asking her not to tell Luna about it. If you hadn't already learned that by now, I question if you've really been paying attention, Reason said. Which is why I'm surprised I'm being shown a memory that reiterates it. It's a recurring theme, Rage said. Which is something that should piss you off. It would if Celestia wasn't already dead. No use getting pissy over something I already got revenge for. So, is the takeaway that Luna is horrifyingly insane? Again, something you already know, Reason said. Then what is it? I ask. Or is this one of those that I'm just supposed to figure out? It's simple, Payne said. There were 3 witnesses to this event. None of them said a word. Not only could you not trust the princess, you couldn't trust any of the ponies. Celestia was more important to them than any half-ape. That loyalty had to be earned, I said. Although Celestia did her best to make it easy on me by being as much of a monster as she could. But you're right, there was nobody I could trust. Twilight, the pony I've known the longest, sold me out in a heartbeat in every letter and conversation. Taya, my sweet little filly, signed herself over to Discord and helped the ponies torture me occasionally. Pinky and Rarity raped me. By this point, Dash and Fluttershy had read my journals, so they were both super wary of me. Applejack still completely distrusted me. Ponyville was finally starting to warm up to me in general, but I knew it would only take a single incident for everything to revert. And then there was Appaloosa. It's astounding how lonely it made you feel, Payne quietly said. How is that astounding? The only person I could kinda sorta maybe trust was an immature dragon I could barely talk to. And maybe Pinky, depending on how sane she felt that day. That's incredibly isolating. And led to issues that persist to this day, Reason said. Like your paranoia about everyone plotting around you. Well, when everyone spends the first few years stabbing you in the back, face, and everywhere else they can fit a dagger, you pick up a few trust issues. And to be honest, I haven't really found anything in these memories yet that make me more inclined to trust any of the psychos around me. If anything, I just want to nix them all and pay some muscle instead. We aren't done yet, my guide said. Your past is dark, but it gets brighter. Depending on which metric you use, I guess. I get more allies and more people start working for me, but there's also the first haunted bunker to go through. Well, that will be later. Are you prepared to move on now? I took another look around me. It didn't take long to find myself on the sidelines. The horrified look on my face told me everything I needed to know. These guys were scumbags. This is a shitty way to die, but they caused untold suffering. I don't know if that balances out and I never will. All I can do is strive to never pull the trigger like this on somebody who doesn't deserve it. My guide's eyes flashed and we finally moved on to the next slice of life. End chapter 191.